Second of all, living sacrifices rejoice with those who rejoice, and they weep with those who weep. Now, I would say to you, at first glance, it might seem like this doesn't need to be said to you at all. Like you would naturally do that. You wouldn't tell a joke to a guy in tears, you know, and you wouldn't come crying to a guy's graduation. Oh, man, you're graduating. You know, that you know how to fit in, right? But it's really not the way our flesh works. It is the way the spiritual man lives. You know, we are not happy oftentimes at the success of others, especially if it's at our expense or if it's to our exclusion, where we didn't get it, you know. That's a whole lot less source of joy for us when they find favor and you did not. When God blesses them and he doesn't seem to be blessing you, and yet you're living sacrifices. You're one in the body, and now their accomplishments make yours look very dull, you know, and the flesh isn't usually up to rejoicing then with those that rejoice. We think this, why them, not me? I mean, I think I'm more faithful than they are. How come they're getting so blessed? How come I'm not getting so blessed? You know, in Proverbs, Solomon wrote, if you mock the poor, you're reproaching his maker, but if you're glad at others' people's calamities, you're not going to go unpunished. So there must have been that problem to begin with. You know, oh, they got what's deserving. You know, what was coming to them. I knew they were going to get it, you know. It's not a natural tendency for us to not envy, but yet Paul says love doesn't envy, doesn't puff itself up, doesn't seek its own way, is not easily provoked. And you start to read that and you realize, you know, this is a different person now that God has made of us. And that old man wants to fight the changes. But it is something to be said for us that we can rejoice with those whom God is moving and working, and we can sit with those that are going through the difficulties of life. You know, to be sensitive to other people's disappointments. In fact, I would suggest that most of us would, most of the time, if someone's having really bad trouble and there's someone else in the back, you know, who's just smiling and happy, we're going to go, yeah, I'll talk to this happy person. You know, we don't want you to rain on my parade. Okay, I know you're in head. I'll pray. Okay, let's get over it. That's because we're tired of it. You know, we don't want to weep with. We want to rejoice with those that rejoice. If we got to take a pick, we're picking that one over the other. And there's something to be said for God's heart in the life of someone who is willing to be, you know, compassionate to the point of feeling what they feel, which is what the word compassion literally means. In fact, the root word in Greek for compassion means to suffer with. And so you will find when you hear, you know, Jesus is compassionate, the Hebrew Old Testament word equivalent is often rendered merciful. But the word compassionate and merciful run along those lines of to suffer with. When Jonah was so angry with the Lord for, you know, because he didn't want to go to Nineveh, because he didn't want to see them get saved, because he hated them, because they were wicked people, and when the people repented and God relented of his judgment for that generation, Jonah in chapter 4 verse 2 said, see, Lord, this is what I was thinking about. You know, this is why I didn't want to come here. I know you're gracious and merciful God, that you will suffer along with people, that you will put up with their difficulties, that you abound in mercy, you're in loving kindness, you relent from doing harm. And he uses that word mercy, which is this root word for compassion.